3 messages before today's interview educates and motivates you. First, if you're a domain name investor, don't you have unique legal needs that require domain name technical know-how and industry experience? That's why you need David Westlow of Wiley Rein. Go search for David Westlow on Domain Sherpa, watch his interview, and you can see for yourself that he can clearly explain issues, can help you with buy-sell agreements, deal with website content issues and UDRP actions, and even help you write your website terms and conditions. David Westlow is the lawyer to call for internet legal issues. See for yourself at newmediaip.com. Second, managing multiple domain name marketplace and auction site accounts is a pain. Inevitably, you forget to sign into one and you lose a great domain, or worse. Now imagine using a single, simple to use and comprehensive control panel to manage all of your accounts. That's Protrata. You can set up search filters, analyze domains, automate bidding, list domain names for sale, buy domains across all major marketplaces. Protrata also has a new semantic engine that builds Google-friendly websites with rich content and network feeds. Sign up at Protrata.com to get 20 free credits and start building and monetizing your domains today. Finally, if you have questions about domain names, where should you go to ask them? The answer is dnforum.com. Not only is DN Forum the largest domain name forum in the world, it's the best. You can learn about domain names and the industry, buy and sell domain names, talk about the domain name news that's happening in the industry, and even meet domainers just like yourself. Register for a free DN Forum account and begin advancing your skills and knowledge today. And when you do sign up, send me a friend request so we can connect on DN Forum. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you come to learn how to become a successful domain name entrepreneur and investor directly from the experts. How important is a generic, keyword-rich domain name to ranking high in the search engines? It's a question that I've asked Danny Sullivan, a journalist and worldwide recognized expert in search engines, in a past DomainSherpa.com interview. His response, quote, "If you can come up with the good content to back up the good domain name, that's very, very golden," end quote. But I'm a data guy. I want to know that there's real data behind what everyone believes to be true. So when today's guest reached out to me, I jumped at the opportunity to learn more about what he's doing. Today we're speaking to Mark Collier, blogger and chief data cruncher at theopenalgorithm.com. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. Let's start the show with the bottom line up front for the audience, Mark. What is the correlation between an exact match domain name and search engine rankings at a high level?
Okay, so at the highest level, I'll just let your users know what I did. So I did an analysis of over 10,000 search results. I downloaded the top 100 results for all those 10,000. And then I tested a whole bunch of things using Spearman's correlation coefficient. So for your users, that basically means the results I get back will be a number between -1 and 1. And the closer to either one means the stronger the correlation. And usually something above 0.1 is a significant enough correlation. So over 0, so between 0 and 1 is a positive correlation, the two things move together, and between 0 and -1 is a negative correlation, they don't move together at all. So for exact match domains, I got a correlation of 0.14, which is relatively significant. It would probably be, I tested 160 factors, I don't have the list right here, but I'd say it would probably be around number 40. And that 40 would be, the 30 or 35 above that would all be link-based. So essentially, beyond links, it was probably in the top 1, 2, or 3. So it's fairly significant.
Wow.
And then I went a little bit deeper for your users. Exactmatch.coms were 0.18, and then .orgs were 0.095, .net's 0.08, and .info and .us saw pretty much no correlation. They were just randomly correlated at 0.02. So obviously for your users, it is pretty important getting exact match domain. It will help your search engine ranking. And obviously .coms or .orgs are definitely the highest correlated. Yeah, but we can dig a bit deeper into that if you want.
Yeah, so you just said a whole bunch of information that is really interesting to me and probably to a lot of people who are watching the show that want to know that there's data behind this. So basically you said that anything greater than a 0.1 is statistically significant. So you're using the Spearman's coefficient to algorithm to actually determine statistical validity of an exact match domain name. So I'm going to dig into exactly how that works and how you measure it so that people just get a better idea of how the analysis is being done. But first, let's take a step back and learn about why you're doing all of this analysis. When somebody goes to the openalgorithm.com and looks at the Open Algorithm project, what is it? Can you describe at a high level what that is for other people and why you're doing this?
Sure. So in essence, I just started a project, and we can get into why a bit later. I just started a project basically to bring more science, data-driven knowledge to search engine optimization and then sort of inbound marketing, online marketing in general. And basically that's what the project does. I mean, my first study is a correlation study. It's pretty easy to run. You just gather data, get the correlations, and then in the future we're going to run more studies, maybe hopefully proving causation, and then obviously there's a few more interesting tests I sort of have in my mind to run, and we'll probably be running a second correlation study in the coming month. But essentially it's just a project to bring more data, more science to search engine optimization, because I basically found that a lot of the sort of what everybody thought was truths or like sure things or whatever weren't really true, and there was a whole load of bad advice going out there. So I just thought, well, bring data to it, and data usually doesn't lie.
Right, exactly. What's that famous quote? The biggest lie. The biggest lies of statistics. Oh, I can't remember it. I'm going to have to post it in the comments. Darn it. All right, so you chose the openalgorithm.com as your domain name. Why did you use the keyword algorithm? Why is that significant?
Well, basically for anybody who knows anything about search engines or how they work, basically they all work on an algorithm. They all have some basic algorithm. An algorithm is just a maths formula. So obviously you don't have sort of elves in Google figuring out what to supply you with. It's a computer based on a maths formula. And the maths formula works on trillions, billions, whatever of URLs, and then it picks out the top 10 URLs for you to see when you put in a search. So for search engine marketers, what they want is they want to understand the algorithm, how to utilize their knowledge of the algorithm to get their sites, their pages, whatever, to rank higher in Google and get more traffic and all that kind of stuff. So obviously the algorithm makes sense. The open part is obviously because we're trying to open it up, we're trying to provide more information to the public on how it works, how it actually works, not how people think it works, and also then hopefully find out things that people didn't know about, or whatever. So that's really why I chose the domain name, because it is about an algorithm. It's about opening it up.
Yeah, and so you supply all of your analysis, and then from many of the posts that I read on the website, you actually supply the data set as well, so people can go out and do their own analysis on that, and you're actually encouraging them to come back and share their results in the same fashion that you do.
Yeah, so the first study, I didn't actually provide that much data to people. I provided some data. So, for example, I provided all the domains we analyzed and other data, like how many times I showed up and stuff like that. And then, obviously, because it's a free project, it's out there for everybody to see, pretty much all of the data is totally transparent. But then in the next study, we're actually going to go a lot further than that. I didn't use very robust database software in my first study. I've upgraded to SQL now, and I'm going to make the whole database with whatever millions of data points open to everybody to see. And then also, I've only been programming like 7-8 months, and I wasn't a great programmer when I first wrote the software to do the first correlation study, so I've totally rewritten all that. That's what I've spent my summer holidays doing, and I'm going to make it totally open source. So we're hopefully in the second study we're going to provide a lot more data to people, so they can actually go out and run the tests. The first one, we did provide some data, and obviously all the results were totally transparent and how we came to the results. But in the next one, we're definitely going to provide more data and also allow people to dig into the software if they want to use whatever, like the software that I use to extract a domain from a URL for some other tool. Let them use it. That's fine.
Wow. All right. So why did you start the Open Algorithm project?
Well, basically, it was just I was interested in search engines, and I knew quite a bit about them, or I thought I knew quite a bit about them, and I've done a load of research on them, and tested out with a few of my own websites, and I just saw that there was a need for data-driven, science-driven knowledge about search engines, and I saw like forums with absolutely terrible, terrible advice on them, and I saw blogs and so-called experts making assertions that they might be true, but they weren't backing it up. They didn't have any evidence, and any evidence there was out there, it was sort of anecdotal evidence, like, oh, this happened with 1 or 2 pages I built, but that's not really scientifically significant. What if it's not happening for everybody else? So I came across SEO Moz. SEO Moz were the first to do a correlation study, and they've been really helpful with my correlation study. And they did a correlation study, slightly smaller scale to mine, but still scientifically significant, still testing over 100 factors. Very good correlation study. And people seem to like it. People seem to, have a need for that kind of blog post, that kind of information. So I decided go and do it. And that's one of the core things about science, is that it can be backed up time and time again. So it's not good enough that SEMOs do a correlation study once and maybe they do it again themselves. If other people can come along and back it up, further it, better it, provide more data and all sorts of stuff like that, that's good for the industry as a whole. So
definitely. So I want to take a step back and understand a little bit more about your background, Mark. You just a moment ago you mentioned summer holiday. When you first sent me an email, I went to your website and looked at your picture on the About page and thought to myself, what's the deal here? This 30-something-year-old that understands, statistical analysis and search engine rankings and search engine optimization looks like he's a teenager, or he's using a picture from grade school. How old are you, Mark?
I'm 17. I guess that picture you saw of me on the About page was probably a couple of years ago. But
it was probably like last week. So you're 17 years old. I cannot believe that a person with your maturity and your understanding of all these topics, and people can get the sense from it just in the past 5 minutes that we've spent together, are able to discuss these topics in such detail. It's unbelievable. I think when I was 17, I was focused on my Atari 400, figuring out how to ask a girl to a date, and I don't know, maybe riding my bike to the local convenience store to buy some bubble gum. You, on the other hand, you've got a fully functional blog, you've got phenomenal technical content, you've got video shows better than I've read from people that are 2 or 3 times your age, and you've got a mission. Have you always been this way?
I don't know. It's a pain to talk about yourself and what way you've been, but